If you like Latin music, we play it. If you like rock and roll, we play it. Because no one does fusion music like we do. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Programs presented are submitted by members of our community and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM, The Boss, and affiliates.
Welcome to Today with Kashay. It's Digitalk Friday, the day we discuss social and business transformation in this digital age. Get ready, folks, for loose, fun, and hopefully inspiring dialogue. I'm Jesus, your guest co-host. To my right, the lady of the hour and namesake of the show, also known as my better half. Take it away, Kashay.
There is no one who has a more amazing radio voice than
you.
Walter
Cronkite.
No,
so
than
okay.
you. I sat there. It's just like on point. It's so on point, baby.
Well, a lot of coffee, a lot of tea, a lot of honey,
and a lot of good, healthy smoothies.
Of course. God. The one you made for me this morning was incredible.
I loved it.
Yeah, a little bit more citrusy.
Yeah, this one was geared a little different.
Okay.
This one was geared toward, I made it a little bit more citrusy.
You did.
But I also made it more hearty. It had more protein. It had, and I put some like granola. I put all kinds of stuff in there.
There is also a special ingredient that you add.
Love.
Oh man! What are you reading my notes? Reading my mind?
They're
are
made
you ready?
with love. Yes.
In Spanish, we say a little bit of quereme.
Yes.
A little bit of love and sweetness.
A lot of that.
A lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of that. A lot of that.
Hello.
Hello
Friday,
and happy Friday, everybody.
Here we are.
Now we have dodged 2 bullets this week.
We did.
We dodged the hurricane.
We did.
And we dodged Brian as our fearless leader
I know, he
in the
wasn't
class
there
this morning.
But Anel is no joke.
He wasn't messing around.
He wasn't messing around. Love Anel.
Yeah.
Love him. Love them both. These guys, they really put us to the test when it comes to working out.
Tell me how you were feeling this morning.
Oh, what?
I think she finally woke up, folks, right at the end of the workout.
I was like, okay, where are we going with this? Okay, so this morning,
where we're going is I'm putting you on the spot. That's where we're going.
I didn't want to get up.
No, you didn't.
I did not want to get up this morning. And some mornings, we all fall into that, right? Where there are mornings where you don't want to get up, but then you get up. But then there's those mornings where you really don't know how you're going to get up.
Right.
And I did.
You did.
And so I was struggling a little bit this morning. Because last night was fun, and so you in the morning sometimes you just don't want to get up.
The thing is that we watch our series on Netflix, and we hang out, and we try to go to bed early because we get up so early to go work out. So this morning it was just tough.
It was tough.
So for us, the every morning is coffee time.
It is.
What do you like so much about the coffee?
I don't know. I think a lot of it is just it's kind of our time to just kind of talk, and we literally just. It's like decompressing. Like we go through everything and we process but it's just fun and natural. And it's a lot about what we're going through or what we're talking about, different things. And we're just allowing ourselves that time to kind of chill out.
That's right.
Chill out, have our coffee.
And that's one thing that
I
really,
coffee, by the way.
Man, I love it. And I enjoy the time, even if we're not at your pad and we're together, but it doesn't matter where we're at. And I think about the Starbucks stops. We do a stop at Starbucks right after our workouts at Baby Bowl, and that's kind of our thing.
It is.
It's kind of our thing. I ran across something this week that really caught my attention because something we had talked about a couple of weeks ago was when we were growing up here in Texas, the corner store. We have those in Latin America, La Esquina, whatever is at the corner store, or the kiosk at the corner store. So we grew up going to the store. If you weren't at home or playing or at the arcade or at the mall, you went to the corner store to pick up some, we talked about our favorite, candy and all that, whether it was 7-Eleven. And I ran across something that caught my attention. Circle K. Circle K is setting up cashierless stores. They're actually launching a pilot store in Phoenix.
Okay.
So I thought about this because Every time we go to that Starbucks where we stop and have our coffee after the baby bowl, all you've got is just a bunch of baristas just kind of, running around.
Yeah.
Most of the people are coming in, they've ordered the coffee on their app, and they're coming in to pick it up and then walk away.
Sure.
Easy. Okay, so I think Circle K has caught on to the Amazon model and say, what can we do to make it just a little bit easier and more efficient for people to walk into it? Well, first of all, let me kind of lay this out, and then I have a question.
I
have a comment.
Go ahead, yeah.
So Circle K is setting up a pilot store in Phoenix. They're retrofitting the store, and it's going to have ceiling-mounted cameras as well as proprietary artificial intelligence, machine vision software to associate each shopper with the items that they pick up. Okay, now, when I looked at the mission, why they were doing this is we're trying to make the experience at the Circle K store more efficient and just a little bit faster.
Okay.
How much faster are you going to make it to go through a Circle K?
Well, I mean, I remember the first time I was walking through the airport, and I'll never forget, in the center there, they have these little, like, stations or stores set up.
Right.
And they have no one's there.
Right.
And you literally go down and you pick what you want, and then you just go scan it.
Sure, that's it.
And that was the first experience I've kind of had with that.
Right.
And I remember I didn't know. Like, I walked up and I was like, okay, I want this.
You're looking for
and
somebody.
And I was looking for the cashier lady, and I'm
Sure.
like, where are they? I got to get to my plane.
Yeah.
And then someone said, and I watched someone, and they said, no, you just literally. And actually, in a way, it was okay. I liked it. I mean, I was okay with that. So
I think also our culture, and I want to dive into this a little bit because I think it's an interesting observation. I think that the culture in the U.S. is a very autonomous and self-sufficient. Don't talk to me. I always give this example when I was working overseas. I always give this example about what the retail floor experience is like in different markets. Okay? What I've observed as the American shopper that's going into a Best Buy, incredibly literate. In other words, they typically know more about the product that they're buying that the whatever person is taking care of them. They're going in already ready to go.
Yeah,
hey, I'm looking for this product. I'm going to get, and I've done my research.
Sure.
So I remember this made me think this experience, and the thing about Circle K is you're literally. We talked about 7-Eleven last week.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
We talked about now, of course, Circle K. We talked about Amazon Go. You're literally not going into a shopping environment and not interacting with anybody. Not even look at the things that happen at Starbucks when we go into Starbucks. You're going in, getting your coffee, and just leaving.
Yeah.
Okay. This reminded me of a story when I was doing some work in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I was actually back in the pet industry and doing some field work. There was a manager that they teamed me up with a manager to go visit the market. Okay. Beautiful. And so. We stopped at one. He said, "We're going to go down this street, Jesus, because there are actually 7 pet shops in a block and a half.
Okay.
And each one's a little bit different. It's ideal to see just kind of a real quick snapshot."
Okay.
He was right. We stopped at one corner at one street, at one end of one street, and stopped into the corner pet shop because they were like the anchor of the block and a half. Okay. Stopped in, got to know the owner. We started checking out his store. Gave us some insights about how he deals with vendors, etc. I actually used to sell to Kabasi, that store right there in Brazil, and got to know him. And there, a lady walked in with her little dog, very cute lady, very nice. I said, "Good morning, bom dia, como vai?" The whole deal. And so we walked over. So she started talking to the owner. Obviously, they've known each other. So we started walking, and we kept walking down the block and a half. We saw little bitty pet shop. We saw medium pet shop. One was a vet. We went all the way to the corner. My colleague that was hosting me, we bought a coffee, and then he picked up a pack of cigarettes, and we worked our way back. That walk took an hour and 45 minutes. We go all the way to the end where we had started, back again. The same lady is talking to the same owner, still talking. So my question is, at what point are we giving up and not necessarily missing that social interaction? Because I work from home, and now a lot of us are working from home now. So at what point are we actually just giving up? When I go out and I go to HEB or I'm with you or whatever, there's a little bit of a social, because we're still social animals. So talk about that.
Yeah, so really you're there's, again, and it goes back to the word, the balance. I mean, I think there are areas in which we don't need so much socialization. We don't need the extra, dialogues and the extra time. And then there's the part where we don't want it to just completely go away.
Right.
Because, we also know what that can do to people if you don't have any interaction.
Right.
So you need to find, and everyone has their own balance. So
Fair, that's fair.
I think the way to look at that is as people and industries start to do this, is it's up to the individual. Again, I go back to that. Don't let society dictate your socialization.
Right.
Let yourself. So if society continues to grow in that direction, you decide if that's what you want or if you don't want it.
Right.
But don't be forced to believe that that's the way you have to do it.
I like the two gentlemen that are our new friends at Starbucks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we walk in,
On
everybody's
the
had this
patio.
experience where you walk into Starbucks, and sometimes it can be a pretty transactional, almost cold exercise.
Yeah.
You go in, you get your coffee, look at your name. You might even say hi to anybody. You've already paid. I just want my coffee. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
However, at the point that you and I step out to the patio and sit down, relax from the workout, and we get we get our time together. There's the two gentlemen that are there every morning.
And literally, we met them, and we don't know their names.
No, we don't know their names.
This is how interesting that dynamic is.
Yeah.
About socialization. Great point. The first time we went there, a couple of times, I don't think I saw them, and then it was after that we started seeing them.
Right.
And then slowly but surely you start to, good morning, good morning, good morning.
That's right.
And now everyone kind of looks for each other. And so one day, one of the gentlemen wasn't there.
Right.
And I looked over and I said, he says, before I can even get it out, he says, I've already texted him. He's on his way. He's running a little bit. But that's that natural, organic.
Right.
And you don't want to lose that. I don't think in society
I agree with that.
you want to lose that.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
It's a balance. It's a balance.
This prompted me to look at something that I had read a couple of years ago about what are the average interpersonal spaces. I'm not talking about social distancing because of the COVID.
Yeah.
I'm talking about cultural interpersonal spaces because of where you were from.
Okay.
And I looked this up. This is so interesting. The three countries where participants preferred or the citizens preferred a minimal distance, they preferred a large distance from each other was Romania, approximately 4.5 feet from each other.
Oh my God.
That's far. If you think about it, that's far. Hungary and Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah.
So those are countries.
They were already doing social distancing.
They're already doing social distancing, exactly.
Yeah.
All they needed to do was add another 2 feet, and they were in line. And the three countries where the participants were happiest being up close to a stranger was Argentina, Peru, and Bulgaria. In Argentina, 2 feet. So it's very common. As a matter of fact, it's a very common gesture of goodwill and also just solidarity with a man can kiss a man on the cheek, and it's a very common.
At Europe, like in France.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in Europe and the cultures there. Everyone you give each other a kiss on the cheek.
Sure.
Italy and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how you go from one side who believes one way, and then you go all the way where they're like, "Get away from me."
Yeah.
So it's cultural.
And in some cases, the social dynamic impacts how you shop. So the lady that was at that pet store in Sao Paulo wanted to be sold.
Yeah.
In some cases, we go to retail environments, we don't want to be sold.
even bother.
Why? Because we know more, right? We know more than the person on the floor.
Right.
So that cultural impact. I wondered about this, and I want to get your take on this.
Sure.
Right? At what point, because the interaction that we have with the baristas at Starbucks is minimal, at what point do they turn that into just a robot-based based environment?
I don't know. I mean, I think again, things are heading that way. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
But again, I need a little bit of both. I don't listen the world to Kashay today with Kashay here.
Kashay is speaking, everybody.
Kashay speaking, everyone get quiet. I really believe that we need to keep it was a joke. We really need to keep a balance between that. Like, I mean, I don't want it to be so cold. I think, to me, I look at that as just kind of cold if you start to get to too much where you're not talking to anyone.
Do you have a relationship with your barista at Starbucks?
No, I don't. Okay.
So then, as long as they can make your hazelnut latte, what is it, the cold latte with the hazelnut syrup?
Well, it just depends. It could be
If they can
cold,
make
it
it,
could be hot.
if the robot can make it just as good as the barista,
But I think
who cares?
I think to your point, though, is, I mean, we may not realize that if you lose that, what that effects that will have. And I'll bring out a great point, and then we can go to commercial.
Right.
We didn't realize when they put iPads in the back of cars to keep kids busy, or when they gave that to them at restaurants, what that was going to do 10, 15 years ago.
Very interesting.
We said, okay, let's give it. It makes sense. It's great. Now what are we facing? Now what are we dealing with? So we've got to remember that, what we're doing right now.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Excellent discussion.
Okay.
We might come back to that a little bit here shortly. So everybody sit tight. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we will be right back.
Turn on your glam today. The Jenna Klein collection is here, elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the Jenna Klein lip gloss collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit jennaklein.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. jennaklein.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Hi everyone, this is Chef Laurent. I'm the owner of Taste of Paris, a catering company for seniors. If you want to know more about our services, give us a call at 832-415-7374 or visit our webpage at laurentvalsculinary.com. Thank you.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Now, last week we spoke about brands. Remember that discussion? We were talking about brands and brandless.
Hi, sorry, everyone.
We were talking. How are the bangs doing today?
Don't worry.
I think you look great.
I want to talk about brand. I want to talk about brand discussions.
I want
Let's
to talk about Kashay, the brand. Huh?
Anywho.
Last week we were talking about brands. Remember, we talked about brandless.
Yeah,
we talked about
we did.
About the brands and about the power, what people were looking for, an emotional attachment with a brand. When you were young, and you're still young, of course. When you were young, were you a fan of Toys R Us?
I was. Yeah, because that was during, it was two exciting times. It was Christmas.
Right.
Because you'd write your list and you base it on what Toys R Us provided. And what you could get.
Right.
And then there were times where it was like, okay, you got treated for something. And so Dad would say, okay, I'm going to come pick you up and I'm going to take you to Toys R Us or whatever. And he would take us there and I would get a toy. So that, it had a great impact. The name Toys R Us meant something.
The toy, I mean, the name was incredible and been around, for a long time. To me, it became the destination for toys.
Oh, sure.
It's like
it's iconic.
I'm going to use the my experience in PetSmart, Petco as they became the destination as a specialty retailer. Yeah. Specialty retailer. I remember going into Toys R Us a couple of years ago and looking to pick up something for my nephew Cooper, for a Christmas gift. Sure. Now, what caught my attention was the fact that long lines. It was an unkept store. There were some aisles and shelves that were out of stock. There was limited, there were limited. Sorry, we were actually looking for something. They just weren't there. And I looked into why Toys R Us shuttered all its stores back in 2017. Remember, 3 years ago, they actually announced their bankruptcy. Right. They were going into bankruptcy. And I want to talk about Toys R Us as a brand. Okay. Because it is making or attempting to make a comeback.
No.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Toys R Us as a destination. 25 years ago, Toys R Us was the destination to get innovative toys. Yeah. In some cases, they had exclusive. They had their own lines. Private label. Sure. Now, then you had the advent of course, Amazon, Walmart, all the other mass merchandisers that were starting to carry and then compete and can provide, vendors, toy vendors with multiple channel outlets and not have to. This is really what I'm saying is that today the brand, anybody that owns a brand that's well managed has so many opportunities for outlets, whether it's offline or online or just direct to the consumer. The ability that we have today to deal directly and engage directly with the consumer is just fascinating. how we can do that today. So they are making a comeback. Now, back in 2019, so they announced their bankruptcy in 2017. Fast forward 2 years later, in 2019, they had announced teaming up with Target. Okay, so Target.com, or the Target infrastructure, was going to provide the back-end e-commerce fulfillment, digital marketing. So if you went to the Toys R Us site, it was redirected to Target, to Target.com. So they were doing the back-end stuff that people, don't see. So they set up a new company called True Kids Brands. That was the new, or is the new parent company of Toys R Us. The toy assortment, digital capabilities, and fulfillment services from Target would fulfill a new omni-channel strategy for Toys R Us. Now, Toys R Us just announced they were no longer working with Target.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and we're talking about less than a year later.
They're not friends anymore.
They're not friends anymore.
What happened?
They decided to go with another monster. Can you
Walmart.
imagine? Can you imagine?
Is Walmart?
I'll give you one more guess. Starts with an A.
Amazon?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. This is really interesting because now they decided we're not going to play in the same sandbox with Target anymore. We're going to use Amazon to do that heavy lifting for us and get straight to the consumer.
Probably a smart move on their part.
Why do you like that one? Why do you like that one?
Well, I don't know if I so much, just care which way.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that from a business perspective, think about the branding and the awareness they're going to get and the customer base they're going to get
Mm-hmm.
going with Amazon. And not to say Target didn't have a strong base, but if you go up, if someone said to me today,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to list on Target or Amazon? Well, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because Toys R Us and Amazon have actually been in a legal battle before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Now, Toys R Us had previously partnered with Amazon to provide e-commerce site development and order fulfillment back in 2000. We're talking 20 years ago.
Interesting.
So that far back, they tried to partner up. However, Toys R Us wound up suing Amazon over a claim that their agreement had been altered. They were supposed to be the exclusive toy retailer on Amazon.
Well, it's good to know that businesses can be in a dispute and actually work it out.
Yeah.
And come back together and create something special.
This tells me a couple of things, and it
Yeah.
reminds me of the story of Nike. Nike decided to pull some distribution
Okay.
out of other channels, out of Dillard's,
Okay.
out of Academy, okay, out of other retailers,
Right.
and decided to use Amazon
Same thing.
as their platform to go directly to the consumer. Now you can go to Nike.com, of course, and buy Nike,
Sure.
and they've still got the factory outlet stores, but they're approaching a much more direct
And
model.
so what do you think? Why do you think they're doing that now, moving toward Amazon?
I think that Toys R Us probably worked out a great deal with Amazon. In 2005, they actually won the right to end their 10-year contract with Amazon 5 years early and received $51 million in damages.
Okay.
Now they've come back again. It's 2020, and they've come back. I see the Amazon platform and the entire infrastructure much more robust
Same thing.
than
Yeah,
Target.
same what I think. Yeah.
The other thing is that Amazon is also on a worldwide scale. Okay, so if I want to sell products in Singapore, I can go through the Amazon system and sell in Singapore, or I can sell in the Middle East, or I can sell in the UK, or I can sell in Mexico.
Right.
Okay, so the Amazon footprint is so wide.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Okay, and what did we talk about this? I want to say almost 2 months ago. If I'm on Google and I'm on Amazon, what's the difference? What's the big difference on the traffic, the intent? What's the difference on the person that's on navigating on Google and looking for a product versus somebody that's?
Oh.
Do you remember that?
I kind of do. I think what you're saying is there's a difference between if I'm going to just go search for something
Right.
versus if I go directly. That means I am ready to buy. I know what I want if I'm going straight to the actual
To Amazon.
Amazon versus just Google searching.
Generally
there's-
speaking, this is why Google is pushing Google Shopping so much, okay? Because they want to keep people in the searches and take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that. If you're on Amazon, typically what happens is you're probably ready to buy something. And if I'm a Prime member, I'm probably ready to buy something.
Sure.
So I see a couple of things here happening
Okay.
in Toys R Us's favor. Number one, I've got the Prime Shopper. The Prime Shopper is a major moneymaker for Target, okay? they take advantage of the Prime membership on a yearly basis. I'm a Prime member, you're a Prime member, and so that incentivizes me to buy something through Amazon, even if it's a product that I can get through other channels.
Right.
Okay, I can get free shipping, which
Yeah.
I'm paying for. Okay, Target is U.S. based. They had an experience in Canada that didn't go well. Target had to come back out of Canada.
Right.
Amazon is now building infrastructure around the world.
Sure.
So all of a sudden, I've got an infrastructure that I can leverage outside the United States. And this brings me to another point. Are they putting too much weight on the Toys R Us brand? Let's go back to the branding for just a second.
Okay.
How many lives can Toys R Us have?
Well, I think the way Amazon looks at it, I mean, if my opinion is it can't hurt them. They're so big that if they're giving Amazon, Toys R Us an opportunity to play. Is the way I see it.
Right.
And if you're not able to play well, then you're out. It's not going to hurt them.
Right.
So it's a risk they can take.
Right.
It's a good risk because we have to remember Toys R Us had a long history.
That's true.
They're not picking up a company that was just 4 years in business.
Right.
They're picking up a company that was iconic, that was almost an institution. So it's a risk that's worth taking because if it pays off, it's a great risk. But if it doesn't hurt Amazon.
You know, when I first heard about Toys R Us announcing bankruptcy in 2017,
Sure.
I wasn't surprised.
Did you?
And-
I cried.
Did you?
I'm just joking. I didn't cry. I was shocked, but I didn't cry.
I wasn't necessarily shocked, and I was like, you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
That's what happened. They were carrying a very big debt load,
Yeah.
and so to service the debt meant that the free cash flow that they were generating as a
Sure.
company, you couldn't apply it to store,
Yeah.
fixture, to revitalization, and really doing the things that you needed operationally.
Right.
Okay, most of the money coming in was to service the debt.
Yeah.
Now, so it didn't surprise me. When they announced that they were going to team up with Target, I was like, okay, that's an interesting move.
Sure.
The first reaction I had was like, how's that going to work out?
Right.
I have an experience with Target. I've actually met the people from Target Plus, which is the .com side, and they admittedly said that they were late to the party. Okay, but they're doing all the right things right now. There's a very sharp group out of Minneapolis. But now, less than a year later, they've announced they're no longer working with Target and now with Amazon.
Right.
Okay, seems like a much more logical choice.
Sure.
My question is, how many lives can a brand have?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't know. I mean, that's something to be seen. And I think now is the time in the market that we're in and in the conditions that we're in, we're going to be able to get that answer.
Yeah.
Because things are going to start to, people are going to start to merge. People are going to come back and pick up something. I mean, it's happening. That is the trend now.
Yeah.
So we're going to now get to see those answers come out because we'll get to be able to test it in the next probably 10 years or so and
Right.
see how that's going to
That's an
evolve.
interesting point.
Yeah.
The thing is that if I'm an Amazon shopper, the dynamics are different for Toys R Us. Now, I'm not a parent, so I can't really relate to this, but I'm just going to pose the question. I would probably look for Lego first before I looked for Toys R Us because Lego's a prominent brand, okay? Or I would look for Mattel, or I would look for a toy, or I would look for a video
So
game.
you're basically saying if you were looking for a particular toy, you'd go to the brand first.
I'd go to the brand
Okay,
first, okay?
okay.
Because if I was really now, the different dynamic you have with the person that's on Amazon is they're looking for a product
Specific.
recommended by others,
Yeah.
right? The 4 or 5 star rating. So that is very intriguing on how the consumer changed in terms of how they shopped. So if I'm looking at a new toy
Yeah.
that has 4,000 reviews and has an average star rating of 4.7, and people saying, oh my God, this Mendez toy is amazing, it's so incredible, my kids love it. What does Toys R Us have to do in that transaction? Nothing. I've gone to Amazon to look at what other people are recommending just through reviews.
Right.
And I'm giving a chance or an opportunity to a brand I may have never have interacted with before.
True.
So the other thing that Amazon offers is, other people shopped for, other people have looked for products like these. So I have just an infinite pipeline of choices
Right.
on Amazon. So this is going to be a very interesting association,
Yeah.
and it's actually happening now. In
Okay.
2020.
So we'll get to see. We'll get to see, and,
Yeah.
and we'll get to see a lot of different because there's a lot of mergers and a lot of buyouts.
That's right.
And a lot of
That's
so
right.
we're going to get to see, I think, the trend in the next few years about how all this shakes out.
Yeah.
But the big part is everything's going digital.
Well, oh, no question.
Everything's going.
No question.
So to say brick and mortar is going to come back. That's the other question.
Selectively.
Selectively.
Selectively. To close out this segment, I have just a little saying for you. Capitalism finds a way.
It always does.
It finds a way. It finds a way. All right. We will go to a commercial break, and we will be right back.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene, mangia italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Hi, I'm Isaac White, owner of the Isaac White Agency, a full-service property and casualty insurance agency located in Texas. Whether you need us to help you with your auto or your home insurance, your boat or your RV, we've got you covered. And our goal is to make sure you feel good about your insurance. Call us at 936-448-4000.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
We've got to do a shout out to my friend Marco in Costa Rica, who's watching right now
Hey,
live
Marco!
on. There's Kashay, and he's coming up with a name for the show.
Oh, he doesn't want Digitalk. Well, you
No,
know
he likes
what?
Digitalk. He likes it.
Okay, well, he can. We're always open, Marco, for
Today-
new
today-
ideas.
today
If you've
with
got
Jesus
another
and
great,
Kashay?
If you've got another great idea,
Or today
then let
with
me know.
Kashay and Jesus.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's talking
Digitalk.
about the name, that name. Oh,
No, he
okay.
likes Digitalk. Of course. I told you about the book that I'm reading, right?
Good. Benjamin.
Benjamin Franklin, An American Life. It's long, man.
Not only but remember, you're kind of like Benjamin Franklin. We found that out last show.
Speaking of,
Okay.
and I'm glad you
I've
tied
got
into
a
that.
Benjamin Franklin.
I will read
baby.
in the fourth segment. I'm going to read an excerpt from the book because the book has some very interesting insight on him and also insight on what the American values and the culture and the middle class was like, you know,
Okay.
back then.
Okay.
That was evolving back then.
How far are you in the book? Let's talk
Man,
about
I'm
that.
only 40% in.
That's crazy.
I mean, and this thing is long, man,
And
but
you
it's great.
read like nobody's
Voraciously.
business. Nobody's business.
I read you.
Do you
read your
me?
mind, yeah.
What am I saying?
I can't say it on the air.
Oh, by the way, thank you for my book.
Oh, that's right, the leopard
You gave
book.
me this cute little book because I'm doing some online stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, and he got me this neat little book, and I love it. Thank you. I'm taking on my notes.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, speaking of books. Okay.
We were talking in the first segment about coffee, and that experience, babe, for us
Yeah.
is unique. How would you sum up in one word what the experience means for you and me for coffee?
Love.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
That's my
There it
word.
is. There it is. There it is.
That's-
Coffee has been, I relate coffee in a very humble manner, just things that I've read.
He
but-
loves it, okay?
Yeah, I love coffee, but we've got a lot of coffee drinkers out there. But I relate what I've read about coffee is how this type of product,
Yeah.
this consumable, has impacted the world over the years, over history.
Sure.
Kind of like how oil has, or petroleum. Okay, it really has made incredible impacts around the world. Coffee originated in Yemen and Ethiopia. It traveled to Turkey, and then it moved to Europe in the mid-17th century. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this is because coffee has been credited with prompting lifestyle changes.
Okay.
Look at the coffee culture that we have now in the United States. Starbucks came about in the early 70s. That's how far they've been around, okay? But for the last, 20, 25 years, it's really become a social...
It's like a cool spot.
A cool spot.
Everybody wants to
Cool
go
spot.
to a Starbucks.
And
I
talk
mean,
about branding.
so to speak.
And
yeah.
talk about branding. I mean, there's an incredible branding angle there with Starbucks. We've got Starbucks. You know, we got the music. You know, they introduce artists. You've got the experience.
You can have
Of course, it's very-
wine. There's some Starbucks that
tea,
offer wine and
all those things.
yeah, all
So
kinds.
they've really taken that branding to a different level. Now, it's interesting how coffee impacted Europe because they didn't control, they hadn't been able, by that point that coffee started making its way into Europe, hadn't really controlled hygiene and the water hygiene. It was still polluted. Beer became the Europeans' beverage of choice, so much that you could start your breakfast with a bowl of beer soup.
No.
Yes. So beer soup was eggs, beer, and butter. That was the typical breakfast.
How the heck?
I know. So you could sip beer throughout the day. So what happened was,
Did they forget about eggs and bacon and?
I guess that came later. You know, the English, the famous English breakfast, right?
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
So
I didn't know that.
what happened is that when coffee arrived in Europe, it started displacing beer,
Yeah.
and more caffeine started penetrating the European diet.
Interesting.
So you start seeing a shift
Yeah.
of what, instead of people sipping beer and just kind of being lackadaisical, all of a sudden workers were more jittery and they were more attentive.
Yeah.
You didn't have to, have this buzz on all day drinking beer. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You had that. Now, what they're saying is that coffee has received credit for increase in productivity and innovation that characterized the Industrial Revolution. And let me show you how.
Oh, look at that.
You could say, and this is what they say, that the London coffee houses that became incredibly popular, all of a sudden everybody wanted to partake in coffee drinking, became idea incubators. It was the place to sit down because, remember, there's no TV, there's no radio, everything was written down.
Right.
You corresponded a lot more in written fashion. You actually spoke, to people when you wanted to go visit. You made a calling, to somebody. So the coffee houses were the perfect excuse to bring people together, share ideas, share concepts, share visions, share dreams, share new processes. Idea incubators. They moved eventually to the United States, and coffee houses took off here as well. As a matter of fact, several of the founding fathers became big fans of coffee, including John Adams. There was a famous letter that John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail saying that coffee, he loved coffee and became a big fan. Have you ever heard of the Tontine Coffee House in New York?
No, I have not.
Probably not. Okay. I've got a story to tell you. You're going to love this. I'm going to love this. In 1792, there was a couple of securities brokers that met under there was a big tree at 68 Wall Street in that section of New York City under a buttonwood tree, and they signed an agreement that formalized how they were going to trade securities. Warm outside, or the weather, or, of course, the elements,
Sure.
forced them to go inside. So they said, well, let's go to the Tontine Coffee House. Became very famous because that's where these security brokers would go and meet, and then all of a sudden start discussing the securities that they wanted to sell. So in 1793, they started actually trading the securities while they were drinking coffee at the Tontine Coffee House. At mid-morning, the group leader of this group, there it is right there, Tontine Coffee House.
Oh, wow.
At mid-morning, the group leader would call out an alphabetized list of stocks and bonds, and the brokers that were there together at the coffee house would call out their bids and offers. The result was a formalized market today known as the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh, are you serious?
So the New York Stock Exchange started in a coffee house.
Interesting.
Now, if you think about the start time to the market, and we have several markets, the start time of the market is at 9:30 in the morning, mid-morning.
Right.
And it stops at 4 o'clock Eastern. That's when it stops. That's when the trading stops,
Right.
For the day. So you think about the impact of coffee.
Sure.
The coffee houses were literally incubators for ideas and really sitting down and thinking, how is there a better way to do this, to do that? What do you think about that? We talk about a lot of stuff over coffee, babe.
Well, again, it goes also back to your first segment that says we need to keep a little bit of socialization.
That's right.
Because that's where some of the most innovative ideas come from.
Right.
When you're together with someone versus everyone being stretched apart. Sometimes when you come together as a group,
Yeah.
then you can actually come up with these great ideas.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it was actually on 68th Street. What we're showing up
Okay.
if you're watching online, the the screen is showing it's 68th Street on Wall Street. That was in 1792
Wow.
that they formalized this arrangement to come together.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
And now here we are again, sitting at coffee shops. It hasn't ended.
Now I'm going to fast forward again about, and we were talking about
Fast
we're going to talk about Starbucks and
Okay.
Starbucks. Now look how far they've taken this.
Okay.
And we talked about the way that Starbucks has changed and evolved their brand. They have introduced a digital traceability tool.
Oh, what is that all
So
about?
this is what you
Starbucks,
do
what are you
is
doing?
yeah, I know. This is a solution that allows customers to visit traceability.starbucks.com on a mobile device or a laptop, and you can scan the number on the back of any bean, and it will take you to on a virtual tour
Oh, gosh.
of where the bean was grown, introduces you to the farmers, and lets you meet some of the roasters.
Talk
Is
about
that
a coffee
amazing?
experience.
That is truly a coffee experience.
Someone could go on a little coffee date. They could
Coffee
take,
date
I mean, you know,
on Washington Avenue.
I still need to be taken out for a bite of food, just so you know. But I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
there's going to come a point where we're at your pad and saying, babe, are you going to take me on a date? Sure.
Yeah.
Turn on the computer and I'll take you on a date.
And I'll be like, okay, sis. But no, or we'll read. We'll pull up our books and read Benjamin Franklin together and have coffee.
Right.
There you go. But no, the point is, wow. I mean, there you go. Every company, it seems like, and every organization is looking at ways to not only keep themselves relevant,
Right.
but also to kind of go digital with things and bring that experience right there for you wherever. I mean, you've heard of the virtual museums around
Sure,
the world. They
sure.
take you to places
Yeah.
and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So they're getting in on that as well.
Right.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Would you follow that? Would you download that and look at?
No.
I have to confess that I wouldn't
I
necessarily
wouldn't.
do it.
No, the answer is no. But if I'm at a Starbucks,
Okay.
and I'm there and it's 6 o'clock and I'm sitting on the chair and they say this is right in front of you as on a little pad and I can push a button while I'm having my coffee and it take me on the tour, I'll do it.
I wouldn't necessarily go to the site and check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a coffee fan, but again, I'm looking at my age group. You're looking at maybe your age group, and maybe a younger person might be more interested in sustainability,
Yeah.
the organic application, the way that they're growing.
We're going to ask
Maybe-
the two guys.
Yeah,
that are
the guys
Carlos,
behind us. We've got
we gotta
Carlos
welcome
and Christian.
Christian.
We haven't
I gotta
welcomed Christian
Christian's
as the
joined-
new intern. Welcome, Christian.
Christian's
Welcome.
joined as our new marketing intern. Congratulations, his first day.
So would you be actually inclined to download the app and look at the traceability and the coffee bean experience and where it was
Christian
grown?
says no, I bet. Christian's like,
What
I'm
would
going
you
to get my
say, Christian?
coffee out.
Would you be interested in that? He would.
Okay,
He
there
would.
you go.
He
There's
would.
your answer.
So when I go there, I'm either with you or I'm reading news.
Yeah.
I'm reading news about Venezuela. I'm reading news about Latin America. Reading news
Sure.
around the world, industry. What are the things that are happening? So if the coffee's good and it's tasty, that's enough for me. However, there might be other people that are interested
Yeah.
in the true. It's like, do you want to know the history of the wine? Do you want to know the history of the wine?
Well, it's
There it
kind of
is.
like, oh, there it is. It's kind of like when I go to a museum and I look
Okay.
at a piece of art. And some pieces you just want to look at and appreciate the piece.
Right.
Some pieces you want to read, you want to understand about the artist, you want to know the history behind it, you want to, and so, and again, that's different people that walk through the museum are going to have different ways that they view art. Some are going to want to just go, it's great, and appreciate the way it looks. Some are going to know the history. What happened here? What's the story behind that?
Yeah.
Everybody has a different way of appreciating their experience.
So Carlos has brought up, and this is actually really good because he's put up on the screen 3 coffees: Brazil, a bean, Costa Rican bean, and then a Kenyan bean.
Cool.
Kenyan coffee is excellent, by
Cool.
the way. So if you look in there, they're the Honduran bean. So sure, you can scan that and go to the Honduran plantation,
Yeah.
or where it was roasted or where it was grown, and look at the farmer, that actually sold it to Starbucks.
I mean, it's
There's
a cool
another
experience.
Honduran
It's a cool
right there.
experience.
So I think it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't necessarily be inclined
Yeah.
to do that immediately, but maybe over time, especially if I was interested in, again, the sustainability
Yeah.
and how they were employing people,
Yeah.
to do that. But I think it's a very interesting angle for Starbucks to be able to do that. But look how far we've come,
We've come a
from
long
that.
way.
I
We've
mean,
come a long way.
now they are introducing co-working spaces at Starbucks in Japan.
You were saying,
Now,
yeah, that's
wasn't it a co-working space already? You know, Starbucks?
Well, I guess now they're going to actually set up with desks and probably
That's right.
outlets and things that you can actually plug in.
Semi-private areas,
With
you know,
little dividers probably and all this kind of stuff. So they're
compete against WeWork.
Hey,
Yeah.
everybody's kind of, you know, it's interesting how everybody's competing
Yeah.
with each other to kind of get, because it's that competitive.
Right.
And it's a different world.
Yeah, yeah.
Completely different world.
Speaking of, I think I'm ready for another cup of coffee. So
Well,
we'll do that
you
in
know
the
what?
next segment.
We'll get you one. Let's get this guy another cup of coffee and break.
Gotcha. Okay. We will take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
Hello, my name is Dr. Sadaf Javed. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist and I see adults also. I've been practicing in the greater Houston area for the past 5 years and my practice is in the west side of town. In these unprecedented times, it is so important to check in with your mental health. Please pick up the phone and call 832-304-7244 or mycognitivepsychiatry.com and we would be happy to help. Thank you.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Hi, my name is Dr. Willie Villarreal. I'm a board-certified family nurse practitioner, doctor of nursing practice, and owner and founder at Core Sports Health here in Conroe. At Core, we take a root cause functional medicine approach to help you achieve your optimal health and vitality. If you're suffering from any of the following symptoms, we can help you through our comprehensive treatment plan that includes diet and nutrition, exercise and activity, hormonal balance, and stress reduction. For an appointment, please call us at 936-441-2673 or visit us online at coresportshealth.com. Thank you and hope to see you soon.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Now, I have a quote for you today.
always have a quote. I love that.
And of
That's-
course, you know, one of my founding
Yes.
father heroes
Let's do it.
is Ben Franklin, and his quote is the following: "Energy and persistence conquers all things." Energy and persistence conquer all things. What does that tell you?
Gotta go to work. Gotta stay disciplined. Gotta roll those sleeves up.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta give it your all, and that is key. That will always pay off.
One thing that I admire about Benjamin Franklin, and again, it keeps coming out through the book, is that he was so focused on figuring things out. I mean, he would try to figure things out on his, voyages between America and the UK, or Britain, back then. But I want to read an excerpt from the book.
Okay.
Because this one really defines who he was as a person, and then also about how the American prototype individual started coming about. I'm going to read it to you. Over the years, Franklin had been developing a social outlook that, in its mixture of liberal, populist, and conservative ideas, would become the one archetype of American middle-class philosophy. He exalted hard work, individual enterprise, frugality, and self-reliance. On the other hand, he also pushed for civic cooperation, social compassion, and voluntary community improvement schemes. He was equally distrustful of the elite and the rabble, of ceding power to well-born establishment or to an unruly mob. With his shopkeeper's values, because he was a merchant at one time, he cringed at class warfare. Bred into his bones was a belief in social mobility and the bootstrap values of rising through hard work. What do you think about that?
I think it's what we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly, it's what I know. It works. Like, if you put a lot of hard work into stuff, I mean, you can use a lot of different elements, and you can rely on a lot of different things, and they can sometimes work for you a little bit. But in the end, you have to self-rely on yourself.
Right.
In the end. Not to say that it's not good to have other outlets.
Right.
But in the end, you have to stand for yourself, and you have to use your skills.
Yeah.
We were not put here to just rely on others. We
Right.
were put here to utilize what we have
Right.
and put our best foot forward. And that requires energy.
Yep.
That requires work. And that's That's it.
Yeah, I think it's inherent. I think that it's inherent in everybody. There's a certain self-will and a self-drive at different levels.
Right.
Some people are considered more ambitious than others, whatever that is. But I think overall, in general, I think it's safe to say that we all inherently have a certain self-drive.
Yeah.
Energy and persistence conquer all things. For him, he was so fascinated by the world that he would look at different areas of his life, how he could self-improve as an individual, how he could help create schemes for the better good, and how he could be better at accounting for his shop. And then on top of that, put all that together to be somebody that was also an architect of the U.S. Constitution, as a founding father. So I thought about this, and I thought about what it takes to really drive innovation. We talked about Toys R Us. They're not innovating toys per se. Well, they are because they have a private label, but they're innovating the way that they're distributing and creating revenue. They're doing it by now associating themselves with Amazon. That's innovation for them. So how do you innovate even in simple industries? Remember when we had to talk about Matilda? In Canada, Matilda,
that lady.
She was the original franchise person with the original beauty shops, right? The original beauty shops. I looked at, and you know that I'm a fan of McDonald's and Ray Kroc and that model, that model, because once Ray Kroc decided and understood what his real business was, he was off to the races. So I looked at innovation in very, very simple industries, and serving and fast food is a pretty simple, you're not curing cancer. But I'm not going to downplay what McDonald's does, because McDonald's is serving, I think, serving a purpose. And if not...
Over 1 billion burgers.
Yeah, over 1 billion burgers served, billions and billions served. So they're serving a purpose. Thus, the consumer has been rewarding them with, a good product at a good price, etc. So I looked at that at a simple industry like fast food. Well, in 2019, McDonald's bought a software company called Apprente. Listen to this, and I want to get your reaction. Apprente has software. It's speech-based AI technology software. Okay, now, before I get your insight on this, okay, let's talk about speech-based transactions. Amazon did a survey recently of 10,000 consumers around the world, and 49% of those consumers love the convenience of voice shopping. The reasons they liked it, and the number one reason they liked voice shopping, was easy to use. The second one, faster way to shop. The third was the novelty of it. 49%, half of the people surveyed, they loved it. So here's why they bought it. They bought the technology to apply in their kiosks. This is what they're saying. They're claiming that this will allow McDonald's to provide faster and simpler and more accurate order taking at its drive-through kiosks.
As long as the machine doesn't not hear you.
Right.
How many times have you called like customer service and you're calling and they're like, we didn't understand, and you say, I need to speak to, we didn't understand.
Right.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it works.
Kiosks have been more and more common at McDonald's in recent years. I remember when I was working up in Arlington, Texas, I would go to a Panera Bread, and what you did is you ordered at a little stand, called it a kiosk, and you just put in your order, paid for it, and basically the people, all they were doing was just making the order, and then just, when they called your number or the number came up, you didn't even have to speak to anybody unless you had a special order or whatever. Okay, so again, you can input the order, but at this point, they don't even want you to import it. They just want you to say the order faster.
Right.
Okay, but it's got to be clear. And so now if the AI technology, the artificial intelligence technology, recognizes your voice correctly, okay, maybe there's some biometrics in there that they recognize, the cadence, the way that you punch in the, whatever that is, then all of a sudden it can become easier. Hi, Kashay, welcome back to McDonald's.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Kashay, welcome back to Saks. Hi, Kashay. Have you ever used voice ordering or voice search or anything like that? Okay. What do you use it for?
Well, I mean, I've used it, I think, when I, like you said, mainly for me, though, it hasn't been through fast foods.
Okay.
Just because I don't do those.
No,
but
I don't do fast food.
Yeah, but it was more for what I said. If I was calling customer service and I said, okay, and they say, what do you need? Which department? Or
Right.
what's your service you're calling about?
Right,
and I
right.
say, I need to get, and it just hasn't worked that well for me. But, maybe I don't have the clearest voice.
I think you do.
But
I think when you want to make a point with me, it's pretty clear.
I hope again, where I'm going with that is a balance. I hope, there's a lot of money being thrown around. I go back to, there's a lot of money being thrown around, 80 million here, 100 million here, a partner in here. They're throwing all this money out there. Let's see. Let's see what happens with all of that.
I guess I'm old school because I think how much, I think about the Circle K that we talked about in the McDonald's. How much faster does it need to be?
I know.
But again, I'm in a certain age group. Christian and Carlos are in another age group, etc. We're looking. My nephew Cooper, my youngest nephew, is going to grow up in a whole different world.
And I guess to some degree, I still, when I go for my runs or something and you see the line at McDonald's is wrapped around. So maybe there is something to be said. They need to move faster because there seems to be like a Chick-fil-A, right?
Yeah.
The lines are so,
Sure.
Maybe this type of system can help reduce that and quicken up, get the speed a little bit faster.
Well, you were mentioning the money. Look at the money. I'm going to give you 8 statistics about voice search that's really, really compelling.
Okay.
Number 1, voice-based shopping. Now, we're talking about shopping is expected to jump to $40 billion in 2022.
Wow.
The transactions based on voice.
Yeah.
Number 2, in market share, this means that consumer spending via voice assistants is expected to reach 18% by 2022. That's huge. That's huge. Number 3, by 2024, the global voice-based smart speaker market could be worth $30 billion. I think I know what business we're going to get into. Number 4, 60% of smartphone users have tried voice search at least once in the last 12 months. Number 5, 55% of teenagers
here we go.
are using voice search on a daily basis.
There it goes. There's the trend.
Number 6, in terms of accuracy, you were talking about earlier, are they getting my order right? In terms of accuracy, Google Home is the winner so far by answering 81% of the queries correctly on average.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Okay.
That's interesting. You want it to be able to be recognized, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, the time is not happening.
That's
you're
right.
You're not going quicker. Yeah.
Number 7, the seventh statistic I want to share is more than 20% of voice search queries are triggered by a combination of only 25 words.
Interesting.
And the top 3 keywords, or the common keywords used in voice search phrases, are how, what, and best.
Interesting.
So if I could go to Alexa or I could go to Google Home and just say, what is the best Thai food in Houston? It should take me there, right?
It should.
Yeah, I mean, again, the voice search phenomenon is just incredible.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of money
It's
being
staggering.
put into it, so.
It's staggering. For McDonald's to buy this software outfit and start outfitting their kiosks and where they can recognize that, I don't think we're too far away from what I just said earlier, about being recognized when you walk into an establishment.
Hi, Kashay.
Hi, Kashay. Welcome back to Saks. Do you still want the same shoes for your boyfriend, Jesus?
Is it his birthday?
Is it his birthday again? Or they remind you. You
remember those? Don't buy those. You bought that for him last time. We'll just have you walk through for Kashay. What are you going to buy for Kashay? That's how we'll do it. We'll just have you walk in. And I'll just have it already programmed. Hey, Suze, here's what Kashay has come in and said she wanted. She wants this.
Yeah, maybe I don't want it to roll out that quickly.
I love it. Roll it out.
Yeah. Anyway, that is the Digitalk for today. Yeah.
Well,
what do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Interesting. Everything, it's always fascinating to learn when we're sitting here talking. And it's great for everyone out there listening because it's a good information to learn and hear about what's happening.
Right.
We need to know what's going on and where things are going.
It is moving at the speed of light. Incredible.
There we go.
Incredible.
Well, it's Friday.
It is Friday. Time for a margarita tonight, babe.
Let's go do it. Let's go have some fun.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, have a great weekend, everyone. Happy Friday. Bye-bye.